about my journey to young adulthood, how I formed my passions, my dreams, and my goals. So this is the overall timeline of my journey. You start with exploration, so you find out what you like, you identify your interests, and then from the interests, you build passions, and from those passions, you form goals. And from those goals, you actually realize those goals and make steps to actually make them a reality instead of just a plan on paper. And most importantly, support is a key part in all 5 of these steps, which I will go on further in the next few slides. So the first step is exploration. So suggest ideas, not force. For example, my father, he suggested he wanted me to be a petroleum engineer, but I was more into computer science. He took me to see his university, he took me to see examples of his work, but I still wasn't that interested in becoming a petroleum engineer. But for him it was okay. He didn't force me to go become a petroleum engineer, which is fine for him. So he didn't keep trying to push it on me. Once he realized that I really wanted to do computer science, he just let me pursue my own passion. So allow them to try. So if your child maybe wants to for example, try something new, maybe you don't think they'll like it, but let them try. But then also prepare for quick shifts and focus, because when they're young, maybe they're 8, maybe they're still, like primary school, one day they'll like football, but the next day they want to play guitar. But so it's like you have to prepare for the quick shifts. So don't, when they like something, don't go all in. Don't go like, oh, I want to play guitar. Don't just go buy them a guitar, because the next day they might not like it. Real example. So you have to build up to it. You have to see that they have the interest. Maybe get them a few lessons, and then build. If they really show interest, then you actually start investing in that interest a little bit more. Identify their areas and strengths. This is related to suggesting the ideas, because once you can identify their strengths, you can of course suggest. Maybe you can do this activity. Maybe they're good at science, so you say, "Oh, why do you want to join this club at your school?" You suggest ideas like that. Help them find information, of course. Help them find which clubs to join. Maybe take them to the library, get a few books. That point isn't supposed to be there. Let's see more. Next, okay. So interests are something that makes you want to explore a bit more. So for example, for me, when I was 12, I looked at a computer and I was like, oh, how does this machine display images on the screen and display text? How does this work? So that was my initial interest. I was interested in a lot of other things. For example, I was interested in music and playing the piano, which I'm still a little bit interested now, but not so much. And did a lot of things, like I did horse riding. And over there, I think it was in kids and more computer-related stuff. And I did a lot of things. So interests are something that it makes you think, how does this work? I want to find out more. So you can help your child find theirs through, like I said before in the previous slide, by suggesting to join clubs, making them read, or suggesting them books to read. And so on. So, and then from interests, you develop passions. And identifying the difference between an interest and a passion is, an interest is just, I just want to find more. But passions is you really start to spend a lot of your free time pursuing that interest, which makes it become a passion. And for me, that was computer-related things. I started spending a lot of time doing competitive coding. For example, this was the Malaysian competing Olympiad in Malaysia, and I represented my school in a competition that only around 20 people from the whole country participate in. And I participated 3 times. The first time I got nothing. The Second time, I narrowly missed bronze. But the third time, I got silver. Yeah, I started spending a lot of time doing research on coding, and it was quite advanced. Like what I was doing was maybe university level, so that's when you know it becomes a passion, when you start going outside your school curriculum and trying to find out more. And that was my silver medal from the MCO. And I also was chosen to represent Malaysia at the National Alifiar Informatics in Singapore. And that's another thing I did for my school project, which I'll go in the next slide. And that's an online competition platform where I'm the first in Malaysia out of 6,000 users on the platform. So it's something that, something that I do a lot. So from those passions, you can develop goals. So goals are something you plan for life, because without goals, obviously you have nowhere to go. And if you have nowhere to go, then you're just sitting around doing nothing. So once you have those passions, you need to ask, what do I want to do with these passions? Well, obviously I want to go to university, I want to achieve a degree, and my goal in the end is to create my own business, my own innovations that will help humanity. So you need to plan to achieve a goal, of course, and you need to work for a goal. So my goals, as I explained, was to go achieve my degree, maybe go work at a big company for a while, and then and then make my own startup, create some of my own revolutionary technology. And it takes effort. For example, my grades in GCSE, which was a lot of A stars and A's. And then I have a personal blog, which I haven't updated in a while, but I'm going to get into that again for my CV, of course. These are my university goals, my choices which I applied to. Unfortunately, I didn't get into MIT, which was my #1 goal, but I did get into Warwick. I got an offer from Warwick University in Leeds in the UK, and I was also accepted in UGM in Indonesia. And another thing I did was, obviously, nowadays in universities, they don't just look at your degree, they didn't just look at your grades, right? They look at everything. They look at you. They look at, what have you done? What have you done as a person to make the world better? So, as part of my coursework, I also made it a reality. I made a registration project where this student can use their ID cards to sign in and out of school. And this was actually implemented by the school, and they're going to use it for the next upcoming few years, which is, I think, it's a pretty good achievement, and something I could include in the future. So after you form your goals, you create your goals, you have to think about, you have to really plan. You have to think about what you need to do to achieve your goals. So work smart, not hard, right? If like my mom said, if you do something over and over again and expect a different result, you're not sane. if you find that, for example, for me in studies, a certain method doesn't work, I will try to find other methods that suit me, that makes the information stick in my head. So it's things like that. It's work smart, not hard. You have to find ways that work for you, and you have to find ways that gives you the best result for your effort. So I had to think, of course, in this whole process, I had to think about which university as well. And I had these choices, and unfortunately, ITB, which was my dad's university. So I had to choose which ones do I want to go to. And here in this picture is actually a little grid of me weighing the different choices. You can't see it very clearly, but I have different categories, like how far away it is from home, the cost, the educational quality.
Jadi inilah kita melakukan assessment dari semua option yang ada. Kalau pergi ke UK seperti apa, kalau pergi ke US seperti apa, Australia seperti apa. Ini kita kasih bobot, itu nggak kelihatan ya sebentar. Saya zoom sedikit supaya kelihatan. Jadi dari secara price di mana? Ya. Sana. Secara price seperti apa, ini dia. Secara price seperti apa, secara kita lakukan decision, ya. Kayak pengambilan keputusan itu, decision making analysis. Then finally,
we decided that the UK was the best option. So we did the initial numbers out of 10, and then I ranked the categories based on how they were important to me.
Ranking itu saya was the criteria.
There's inequality, which was ranked 0.8, which means whatever I gave was multiplied by 0.8 because that's how much it matters to me. Curriculum, which is top importance for me. Job opportunity, also cost, social life, distance, the time to achieve the degree, and the
friends and family.
Oh, friends and family. So like the community, the social community around here as well. So for me, the most important was the curriculum because I obviously wanted something that suited both my interest and also something that would help me in the industry later when I go to the industry. And then job opportunity because I want to build my CV after I get out of the degree by getting a job in a high-ranking company. And the time for the degree because in the UK for 4 years I can already get a master's degree. Where in most other places in other countries, in 4 years, I might have a bachelor's degree. So that was very important for me, which is why it's a 10 in the UK, because in 3 years I get a bachelor's degree, and then I add 1 more year, and I get a master's degree. So next. So parent support is probably the core of this, the most important. Without my parents, I wouldn't have gone through the hard times, the times where I maybe get a bad grade, like in my biology mock in GCSE, I got a D once, and then in my real GCSE, I got an A star. But it was my parents who supported me, and they realized they helped me get through and identify what needs to be done instead of talking down at me and saying, "Oh, this is bad, this is bad." They didn't do that. They were like, "Oh, what can we do to make this an A star?" Which helped me a lot because I know for a lot of my friends, they didn't get the best grades they wanted because whenever they got bad grades, their parents always, insulted them, or they were like, "Oh, why didn't you get 100?" And even some parents, I knew from my friends' parents, I knew, even when they got good grades, like 93%, the first question they asked was, "Where did the 7% go?" Of course, it wasn't very, it didn't make them want to work harder. It just, they were like, "Oh, where did the 7% go? I might as well get 0. So, yeah, appreciation does go a long way for us, for people, for teenagers, even for people in general. Appreciation goes a long way because it shows them that you appreciate their effort. And even if it's for them, it motivates them to work harder. So this is me during graduation earlier, a few months ago. And my mom was, we were taking a photo outside the school.
So you know why I'm so hard to you. Gitu. Kita memang very playful sih ya.
Anyway, thank you for listening. Do you have any questions? You can ask in Indonesian, it's okay, I can understand. Reasons why they did things. It's like they never forced it on me. They never was like, "Well, do this because I said so." It's not that. Do this because it's for you and for your future. So it made me want to do it, not because I was afraid of punishment.
Oh, baru tahu saya malah. Saya kalau gitu sih nggak ada.
Bisa tolong jelaskan tadi kan sempat yang dapat biologi sampai dapat B ya. Itu kenapa sampai dapat D, kemudian apa yang dilakukan secara bersama-sama dengan mama dan
Oh yeah, okay. This was about 2 years ago. I got a D in my GCSE mock exam, so that was 6 months before the actual exam. And I got the D because I wasn't focused on that subject because I thought I was doing okay. I was focusing on the other subjects which I thought I needed to work more on. Getting a D actually really demotivated me because the rest of the year I got A stars and A's in all my topic tests. So the way it works in GCSE is we don't do like formal tests every few months. Once we finish a topic, the teacher gives us a topic test, and I've always got good marks. So it was quite demotivating for me to get a D. But then I worked through it with my parents, with my mom and dad. My teacher sent an email home, and we discussed, what do we need to do? And then we created a list of things, which was like, check your work more. This is with my dad actually. I created a list of revision techniques, which was to check the test more after you finish, and how to revise more effectively for me, which I found out my own way, which was to actually just practice more exam papers and look at the mark schemes instead of your usual way of reading the book and the textbook over and over, making notes, which doesn't work for me, which I tried to do. And obviously that doesn't work very well. So for me, it was practicing questions. So we devised these strategies. Me and my dad, we sat down and we created like a list. And then we created. It was on my table for a while. It was like, check your work. Make sure that you understand the content and ask questions if you don't. So I had a piece of paper with these revision strategies on my table after that, and then after that I got an A star in my biology exam.
Tadi kan Mas Raka awalnya cerita tentang interest ya,
in computer science kalau nggak salah, and then Mas Raka go for your passion dengan ikut beberapa competition in computer gitu ya. Okay. And then tadi Mas Raka juga cerita ayahnya mencoba persuade udah masuk jurusan panjat petroleum.
Iya.
Itu kapan? Setelah Mas Raka menjalankan passionnya di beberapa lomba-lomba itu, atau sebelum itu Raka udah persuade?
Nah, sebelum itu, during the competition, my dad sudah classified decision.
Persetnya tuh berkali-kali Mbak, sampai dibawa ke Bandung, dibawa ke ITB, ini loh kampusnya Bapak saya.
Apa Mas Raka waktu itu di
sama kenapa ditantang-tantang ya ikut aja.
It was 13 atau 14 kan?
Ya.
So after that,
sama aja dia setelah di saat no Mas Dedi thank you. Begitu no Dedi thank you ya sudah Paknya sudah oke selesai.
yeah, once I got older and I picked my specialization, especially in GCSE when I had to pick, what subjects I wanted to do, and especially A levels when I had to pick only 4 subjects that I wanted to do. He realized that I wanted to go into computer science, and he was fine with it.
Tadi kan prosesnya ada sebelum ada
Kami kan
dilakukan explore so many interests gitu kan ya. So my question is about how do you come or decide atau put a cut point from all those interests, kemudian then you pick one single passion.
For me, it came naturally because I had like your classic child interest, become a pilot, become a doctor. So yeah, I want to become a pilot. Every kid is like, they look at the plane, like, we're flying the plane. But for me, I was interested for a while. I did read up a lot on planes. I used the flight simulator, and I. Maybe in the future I actually want to get a private pilot's license just to have.
Mau menerbangkan pesawat pribadinya sendiri kan? Iya. Itu nanti kita ikut rame-rame lah ya.
Yeah, but I decided just naturally because I naturally spent more time on computer science in my free time. So it was, I didn't really have to decide for me, luckily, that I already knew what I wanted. Since like I was 11, 12, I spent a lot of time researching what computers, doing programming, teaching myself how to do it. For other kids, they might need help. They especially when you turn 14, 15, you have to really decide what area. It doesn't have to be specific, like, oh, I want to be doing exactly this subject. No, it doesn't have to be specific, but it has to, you have to know, like, at least, I want to go into maths, I want to go into science, I want to go, a direction. Like, I want to go into public relations or something like that. I want to go into international relations. You have to know some idea of what subjects, if you were to be told, choose 5 subjects, but when you're 15 or 16, you should be able to say, oh, I want to take maths, physics, computer science, additional maths. You have to be able to answer that question, I think, when you're around 15, 16. So, you know, it might need guidance, but for me, I already knew I wanted to take computer science just because of the amount of time I was spending outside of my lessons teaching myself. So, yeah.
Pertanyaan berikutnya boleh ya?
Pertanyaan kalau laki bayar nggak bayar?
Untuk cantik boleh?
Boleh.
For my parents, they of course again suggested more ideas and made sure that I really want to go to computer science, because of course once I made that choice, you know, I can't back out. Once I choose my A-level choice, you know, you can drop out, but if you drop out and change your subjects, you're going to have a lot of stress because you have to relearn everything. So of course you have to be firm. So my mom and dad, we sat down and we had discussions before my A-level choices, before I had to choose my 4 main subjects. I sat down with my mom and dad and we discussed what courses I wanted to take at uni and what are the requirements, what subjects I need to take to do those courses. So we sat down and we did, okay, if I want to do this, we have to take maths, computer science, and then I looked into them myself. I looked into, you know, what's inside the A-level curriculum for maths, computer science, to see if I was fine and happy with it, and I was. So that's how we decided together that I was going to take those 4 subjects and what course I was going to do at university.
Oke, terima kasih. Terima kasih.